Okay, so we're continuing on chapter 3, and now we're going to be looking at, on video 5, we're going to be looking at the returns required for these Social Security taxes. So the employer withholds money from the employee's paycheck, and they put in their amount of money. Well, they have to file a quarterly report to send the money into the government. And this is called Form 940. And the form can be downloaded. And so the form is actually due on the last day of the month following the close of the quarter. So the quarter is 3 months, so January, February, March. So the next month after would be the end of April 30th. And then we do April, May, June, and it'd be due at the end of July, and so on. And so this form basically is actually reporting the wages so that the government knows how much FICA tax you took as an employer from your employee and how much you owe. If you owe less, if the employers owe less than $1,000, there's a different form for that. Okay, and if you look on page 3-17, it's a complete list of all the forms you need on that. So this money that was taken out has to be paid to the government. Now there's two types of taxes an employer took out: FIT, which is federal income tax, and FICA, which is your Social Security and Medicare. And they're always deposited together. And it talks about here in November that talk about look back period. I'll let you read this information here. This is basically when it's due. But here's the rule of thumb. The more money that the employer has withheld or owes, the quicker it has to be paid back. So there's a one-day rule that says if the employer owes $100,000 or more of tax liability, then it's due at the close of the next business day. Typically, it starts at $2,500. There's a whole sheet on when it's due. So if it's less than $2,500, it's not due. I don't have to pay it quarterly. I can pay it for the year. But what happens is if it's over $2,500 up to a certain amount, it's usually paid quarterly or monthly, depending on the amount. Okay, so there's different rules for the amounts of money, but the federal income tax and the FICA, Social Security, Medicare are put in together. And everything is done electronically now. And it's the only way it's accepted. It used to be that you could actually take a check down to your bank and pay it, but now that was the paper-based system, so now it's all done electronically. And here's an example of a 941 form. Okay, so it'll ask for the employer's identification number and the information. And I'm not going to go over all these forms because it shows you here how to figure it out and tells you here. Okay. And there's always a little adjustment. I just want to point out that there's always adjustments of cents because of rounding. So when each employee is paid and their FICA tax is calculated, and then you add them all up and the employer pays their portion based upon the total, there's a rounding issue. So there always seems to be a little adjustment that needs to be made. So this is filling out Form 941. Okay, and I'm going to kind of skip over this. Actually, there's 12 slides. So I'm going to kind of go over it. You'll be doing it, don't worry. Keep looking. Okay, here's the end of the form. And so here's just how to here's step-by-steps on how to actually prepare the form. So let me skip through all these slides, guys, and you'll be able to read these on your own. This is just how to do it. Okay. And then after you do it, there's actually something about how to report or reconcile an FIT or FICA form. And I'm not going to actually talk about that, but I want to talk about this right here. Penalties. If you do not pay what you owe when you owe it, on the day you owe it, you are imposed a fine and penalty. Okay, for not doing it on time, not paying the full amount of taxes, not making them in a timely manner, not providing information to them, such as your employer has to provide your W-2 no later than January 31st. If they don't, they can actually be penalized for that. So there are lots of penalties as an employer for not doing what you need to do. That's why I say if you are going to be a business owner, hire someone to do your payroll. Even though it still comes back to you, they are good at what they do. Somebody like Paychecks or ADP, they will tell you when everything is owed and when things have to be paid. Okay, so this is the end of video number 5, reporting of employees' taxes, and the end of chapter 3.